Good morning students. Today we are going to see 12th chemistry. The topic name is surface chemistry. Into that subtopic we are going to discuss about emulsion. Okay. First, what is emulsion means? Emulsion is a colloidal form of a liquid solution. It is in the colloidal form. Emulsion is a colloidal form. So, in which one liquid is going to disperse into another liquid. That is, one liquid dispersed into another liquid. So, this is called a liquid colloidal solution. Liquid colloidal solution. So there are two types of emulsion we are going to discuss. Two types. Okay. One is oil with water. That is oil with water type. The example of oil with water type, you take butter. Some examples we can take cream also. And same way, water with oil, you can take stiff grease as an example. Okay, two types we are going to discuss. One is oil with water and another one is water with oil type. So, what is called emulsification? The process emulsification. You know that emulsification is a process of a formation of a emulsion. That is, process of formation of emulsion. Okay. So it is nothing but preparation of a emulsion. But how can you prepare the emulsion? By the dispersion of one liquid into another liquid. Okay, it is nothing but the process of formation of a emulsion. But how will you get an emulsion? The emulsion can be formed by the dispersion of one liquid into another. Okay. Now, how can you get? That is how that emulsification process will be fully filled. Like if you take that is colloidal mill. Okay, colloidal mill. Okay, it will be used to form a emulsion, okay, by using of homogenizer, that is homogenizers. Okay, suppose if you are taking any substance, the colloidal mill is used to make a larger substance into smaller one, that is in the form of a colloidal solution. So the colloidal mill will be utilized for this purpose, and we are preparing that emulsion. Okay, so how can you make stable emulsion? Okay, so to prepare stable emulsion, we should add one reagent. Okay, to prepare stable emulsion, we should add one reagent, that is called emulsifier, or we can give another name, emulsifying agent. So in order to prepare a stable emulsion, we should add one particular reagent. The name of the reagent is emulsifier or emulsifying agent. So what are the emulsifier used? Next step, just we are given emulsifier. So what are the emulsifier used? So example for the emulsifier. So I can give an example. First one, let us take a lyophilic colloids. Okay, first example, lyophilic colloids. Now what is lyophilic colloids? Generally the emulsion is made up of two phases. One is a dispersed phase and another one is a dispersion medium. So what is lyophilic means? The force of attraction between the dispersed phase and dispersion medium will be higher. Okay, so that is what is lyophilic colloids means? Force of attraction, that is existing, okay, existing in between dispersed phase and dispersion medium. Dispersion medium is high. So philic means attraction. So the force of attraction that existing between the dispersed phase and dispersion medium is almost high. That is called lyophilic colloids. So example for lyophilic colloid, you can use gelatin. Okay, example you can take it as a gelatin. And second one, you can take long chain compounds. You can take long chain compounds that should contain polar groups. That is long chain compounds containing polar groups such as alcohols. You can take an alcohol, that is a polar group. So you may consider long chain compounds containing polar groups such as alcohols at the end. Alcohols at the end, that should be acting as a good emulsifier. Okay, and third one, insoluble powders like clay and lampblack. So you can take insoluble powders like clay and lampblacks that could be used as a good emulsifier. So there are three emulsifiers they are given as example. One is a lyophilic colloids and second one is a long chain compounds. The long chain compounds should contain a polar groups at the end of the chain. And third one is a insoluble powders that should be taken as a clay and lampblack are a good example for the emulsifiers. And next we are going to see, okay, how to identify the type of emulsion, that is identification of types of emulsion. Okay, so there are two types we have already discussed. One is a aqueous emulsion and second one is a oil emulsion. So how can you differentiate the aqueous and the oil emulsion? They are given a test to be identified. So let us see one by one. The test will be, first test will be dye test. You know dye is a coloring material. Okay, dye is a what a coloring material. To whenever if you add dye, those substance will give a color to the substance whatever you are added. So if you take a dye test, for example, you can take a oil soluble dye, that is oil soluble dye. Okay, you should mix with the emulsion. So whenever if I am taking oil soluble dye, that has to be mixed with the emulsion. We know that emulsion is made up of two phases. Okay, so whenever if you add, just you shake the emulsion. Okay, so whenever if you add a oil, just you have to shake the solution, shake the emulsion properly. And while shaking, you can infer that, okay, the aqueous emulsion will not take the color. Okay, so here the aqueous emulsion not take the color of the dye. Okay, not take the color of the dye. Whereas the oil emulsion take the color. So by seeing a color, we can identify which is aqueous emulsion and which is oil emulsion. This is the first test. And second one, we are going to discuss about viscosity test. Okay, viscosity test. So generally viscosity test will be determined only by using of a experiment. So whenever the experiment has done means we can observe that the oil emulsion will have a high viscosity. That is, the oil emulsion will have high viscosity compared with the aqueous emulsion. So by seeing that inference, we can identify which is oil emulsion and aqueous emulsion by using of a viscosity test. The viscosity test can be determined only by the experiment. Okay. And third one, conductivity test. Okay. So here the aqueous emulsion will conduct very readily compared with the oil emulsion. That is, conductivity of aqueous emulsion is higher than oil emulsion. Okay, whenever if you infer that the conductivity of the aqueous solution will always greater value compared with the oil emulsion. By using of this test, we can differentiate aqueous and oil emulsion. And third one, last is spreading test. Okay, that is spreading means dissolving capacity. So here the spreading test means the oil emulsion will spread readily compared with the aqueous emulsion. So here the spreading test will be fast in the oil emulsion. So oil emulsion will have, okay, higher spreading, oil emulsion spreading fast compared with the aqueous emulsion. Okay, so we have seen there are 4 types of tests to identify the types of emulsion. One is a dye test. So dye test means you have to take a oil soluble dye that should be mixed with the emulsion. Okay, so whenever if you mix with the emulsion, you have to mix it properly by shaking. So where we can infer that the aqueous emulsion not take the color of the dye, but whereas oil emulsion will take the color. So by using of this test, we can differentiate both oil and aqueous. And second test, viscosity. Generally viscosity of the emulsion can be determined only by the experiment. Okay, by seeing of experiment, we can see that the oil emulsion will have a more viscosity compared with the aqueous emulsion. And third one, conductivity test. So generally the conductivity of the aqueous solution will have a high compared with the oil emulsion. And the last one we have discussed is spreading test. The spreading test means the oil emulsion will spread very fastly, so compared with the aqueous solution. So these are the 4 tests we can use to identify the types of the emulsion. Okay, next we are going to use see what is called a de-emulsification. Okay. You know, emulsification is the formation of a emulsion. How will you form the emulsion? By mixing one liquid with the another liquid. In the same way, what is called a de-emulsification means the separation of 2 liquids. Separation of 2 liquids. Okay. So how can you separate the 2 liquids? Various techniques we can use. So what are all the techniques you can use to, okay, for the de-emulsification? Okay. So first one, we can distill one component, distillation of one component. We know that distillation, we can use it only for the liquids. So here we are using two liquids. So by distillation of one component, we can separate one into another. And the same way, by adding electrolyte, to destroy the charge. You know that it is containing, the emulsion is containing a charges. So whenever if you add a electrolyte containing positive and negative charges, if you add a particular electrolyte, that will destroy the charges of the emulsion. By using of this, we can separate the emulsion. And next one, by destroying the emulsifiers. By destroying the emulsifiers. For what purpose we have added emulsifiers? To give a stability to the emulsion. So whenever if you disturb the stability, automatically the two liquids will be separated. And same way, but for solvent extraction, by using a solvent extraction of one component, we can separate. Okay. And same way, if you are taken that by using of a centrifugal force, we can separate the two liquids. And same way, heating at a high pressure, we can separate this. And okay, by suppose if you are passing the ultrasonic waves, okay, by passage of ultrasonic waves, we can separate the two liquids. And same way, by using of dehydrating agent, if you are use dehydrating agent, that is also used to separate the two liquids. So usually we are using some techniques to separate the two liquids that makes a emulsion. There are various types of separation. One is distillation of one component we can take, and whereas adding electrolyte to destroy the charges, same one if you are taking by destroying the emulsifiers. And for solvent extraction, by using centrifugal force, heating at high pressure, whenever if you pass ultrasonic waves, and the same way if you add the dehydrating agent, that is used to separate two liquids. Okay, that is called de-emulsification. Okay, next we are going to see about inversion of phase. Inversion of phase. So first of all, what is inversion of phase? We have discussed two types of emulsion. One is oil with water and water with oil. So if you have changed one phase with another change, for example, change of oil with water into water with oil. Okay, change of oil with water into water with oil is called inversion of a phase. How can you change the phase? That is, if I am taking example, whenever oil with water type, okay, so if I am taking oil with water emulsion, okay, if just in oil with water emulsion, if you add emulsifying agent, we know that to give us stability, definitely we should add a emulsifier. So if you add a potassium soap as a emulsification reagent, that is emulsification reagent, that is nothing but emulsifier. For what purpose we have added? To give a stability to the emulsion. Okay, So oil with water emulsion I have taken. Into that the potassium soap is present as a emulsifying reagent. And this oil with water should be converted into water with oil. Okay, but how can you convert? So here I have added a potassium soap as an emulsifying reagent. Just we are changing that emulsifying reagent as calcium chloride. Okay, if you are changing that calcium chloride, calcium chloride emulsifying agent that as changes the types of emulsion as a water with oil. So by using of by exchanging of emulsifying reagent, we can change the phase, that is oil with water converted into water with oil. This process is called inversion of a phase. Okay, and next we are going to move with the applications. So usually the colloidal that is in the emulsion is a colloidal form. That colloids we have used numerous applications finds, okay, in the life. For example, you can take blood. Okay, we know that blood is in the colloidal form. Okay, so if you are taking a blood, the blood will be in the colloidal form. Okay, and same way if you are taking that is like fats in intestines, that is also in the colloidal form, that is also in the colloidal form. And streptomycin, that is also in the colloidal form. Okay, that is in the colloidal form. So blood, fats in intestine and streptomycin. And the same way the polymers like polyvinyl chlorine. Okay, polyvinyl chlorine and polystyrene. Okay, polystyrene silicones are acting as a colloidal solution in the form of colloids we are using. So this is a general application. Okay, now we will see how it is used in medicine, how we are going to consume as colloidal solution. Let us take one by one. Okay, first if you are taking that if you take blood, okay, so blood is in the colloidal form we have discussed. Same way if you are taking with the food, okay, so if you take food material, okay, we can give lot of examples. If you are using curd, milk, cheese, butter, milk, cream, like for example I will take butter, cream, okay, gel, okay, or in the colloidal form. Just food material we are going to consume. Okay, food materials we are going to consume. And same way how it is used in the medicine. So in the medicine level, just the colloidal form, how it is used in the medicine purpose. For example, antibodies. So antibodies, we can take a good example, penicillin and streptomycin. Okay, penicillin and streptomycin. Both are used in the colloidal form. So just if you are using injection means that has to be in the colloidal form. Just antibodies, two antibodies we have taken, one is a penicillin and streptomycin. Same way colloidal gold, same colloidal calcium as used as in tonics preparation. Okay, so colloidal gold, colloidal calcium used in the tonic preparation. And same way colloidal magnesium, colloidal magnesium, it is used for the stomach troubles. If you have some stomach problems, we can use the colloidal form of a magnesium. Okay, and if you take argyrol, okay, so argyrol is a silver solid. Is a silver salt. Okay, silver salt. the silver salt argyrol, it should be coated with the gelatin. That should be protected by the gelatin. Okay, so argyrol is a silver salt that should be used in eye lotion. This is a general uses of the emulsion. So we have used normal purpose, we can take food, and we can use it only for the medicine purpose. Medicine purpose also I have given, it can be used in the form of antibodies, can be used as a tonic, it can be used as a stomach problems, and we can use it as a eye lotion. Okay, next we can see some industries uses. Okay. So first we can see in purification of a water, how the colloids that can be used in purification of water. Okay. So purification of a water that can be activated by the colloidal solution, by forming the colloidal solution that should be in a suspended in water impurities. So how can you purify water means in water there will be suspended impurities that should be coagulated by adding one reagent, that the added reagent only named as a alum. So where alum contains ions, aluminium plus 3 ion will be present. Okay. So in purification of drinking water, the suspended impurities forms colloidal solution with alum. The alum containing aluminium plus 3 ions. Okay, this is the first uses in the form of a purification of a water. Second, okay, so in washing purpose. Okay, in washing purpose. The cleanizing of washing soap. Okay, so the cleanizing action of a soap is due to the formation of a emulsion of a soap with the dirt which is present in the water. That is the cleanizing action due to formation of emulsion of soaps with dirt. So actually there will be emulsion will be formed with soaps with the dirt. By using of this we can wash the material. Okay, there is a colloidal formation. And third one, so if you are taking tanning industry, okay. So in tanning industry, what we are going to do, if you are taking skin and hides, so usually skin and hides, if you are taking that, this should be rich in proteins, okay, proteins, and this should contain a positively charged. This is a positively charged material. So whenever into the positively charged material, if you add tannin, the tannin is what? Negatively charged material, negatively charged. Okay, so whenever if I add the negatively charged particle to the positively charged particle, there is a mutual coagulation will take place. Okay, by using of coagulation, there will be hardening of a leather will be possible. Hardening of leather will occur. Hardening of a leather will occur. So instead of this tannin, we can use chromium salt also as a material. Okay, chromium salt also we can use. That is a process in tanning industry. Okay, and same way if you take in rubber. So actually in rubber industry, okay, so first of all, what is rubber means if I am taking rubber as a lattice form, it is also in the colloidal form. Okay, the lattice is nothing but it is a colloidal form of a natural rubber. So what is lattice means? It is colloidal form of natural rubber. Okay, this as a charge, that is negatively charged. What is the charge of this? Means negatively charged. Okay, so whenever if you heat the rubber, heating rubber with sulfur, heating rubber with sulfur, we can get vulcanized rubber. Okay, we can get what? Vulcanized rubber. If you are taking a natural rubber, that should be heated with sulfur, we will get a vulcanized rubber. That is used for tubes. Used for tubes we can use. Okay, and same way if you are taking okay, next we are going to see about Cottrell precipitator. Okay, so the carbon dust in the air, okay, carbon dust in the air can be precipitated by using of a Cottrell precipitator. So carbon dust in air, okay, that should be solidified, by using of a Cottrell precipitator. So in it, if you have passed the 50,000 volt electric current, okay, the carbon dust in the air can be solidified. But how can you? The carbon charge can be neutralized. Carbon charge is neutralized. By using of this neutralization process, we can solidify the carbon dust in the air, and after that neutralization process, we can take the air is free from carbon we are going to get. So this is called a solidification of a carbon from the air. Okay, and next we are going to see in sewage. Sewage, how can you use this application? Okay, generally you take sewage means sewage contain dirt like waste material. Okay, so whenever if you pass the electric current into the sewage, the dirt and the waste will be precipitated. Okay, will be precipitated and it is used as manure. Okay, by passing the electric current to the sewage, the dirt and the waste, okay, the dirt and the waste which is present in the sewage can be converted into that has to be precipitated, and that will be used as a manure. Okay, so this is in sewage process. Okay, and next the blue color of the sky. Okay, if take the blue color of the sky is due to Tyndall effect. Okay, it is due to the Tyndall effect. This is also in the colloidal form of application. Okay, and next we can see formation of delta. Formation of a delta. So whenever if you take a river water and sea water, if you take a river water, it is in the consisting of a colloidal form of a clay. Okay, colloidal form of a clay. If you take a sea water, the sea water contains, okay, the sea water contains that is a number of electrolytes. Seawater contains a number of electrolytes. Seawater contains a number of electrolytes. So whenever if you take the river water, whenever meets sea water, there will be coagulation will be possible. So what is that? How can you get the coagulation? Means in the sea water we can say take a number of electrolytes will be possible, and those electrolyte will coagulate the colloidal form of the clay which is present in the river water. So here the electrolyte will coagulate the clay, and that will be deposited, okay, and that will be deposited in the form of delta, that is form of a delta. So river water contains a colloidal clay, whereas sea water contains electrolytes. Whenever these two water mixed, okay, the electrolyte present in the sea water will coagulate the clay, okay, will coagulate there will be mutual coagulation will occur, and because of that coagulation that will be deposited in the form of a delta. So this is called the formation of a delta. And the same way the colloidal forms that is used in qualitative and quantitative analysis. Quantitative analysis, okay, by using of a various application, that is application in the form of properties. The form of properties. Okay, so far we have discussed about how the colloidal solution used in industry. We have discussed purification of water, and where we are used in washing purpose, how it is used, how can you use in tanning industry, and how can you use in the rubber, and we have seen how to form a vulcanized rubber, and how to the carbon dust can be separated from the air by using of a Cottrell's precipitator. And in sewage, how we have precipitated the waste material as a manure, and usually the blue color of the sky is due to the formation of a Tyndall effect. And next we have discussed about how the formation of a delta. In addition to that, in qualitative and quantitative analysis also the colloidal properties can be used. Okay, so far we have discussed about in this chapter about emulsion we have discussed, and we have discussed the types of emulsion, and how can you de-emulsification, and how can you change the phase, that is inversion of emulsion. And next we have discussed about the application of emulsion. We have used both how the normal purpose we have used and the industrial purpose, how can you use in this section. We have discussed all those things. Thank you.